Don't take this with a grain of salt, though. The NFL has informed all teams via memo distributed today that draft rooms will be up and running this year. It won't be a virtual draft. It won't be a stay-at-home draft. Now, physical distancing, mask wearing, no food in the draft rooms. You're in the draft room for a long time. What are you going to do, step outside to eat a sandwich? There's something odd about that aspect of it, but they're trying to make sure that everybody stays properly covered up. It's a good example for everyone out there as we work through this process of getting folks vaccinated. The worst thing that we could do as a people as we get closer and closer to beating this is to let our guard down too early. I think it's a dangerous time as we get closer to the finish line if we get away from the things that we need to do to minimize the spread. So the NFL at least allowing teams to gather in their draft rooms if they choose to. It's all going to be televised like it always is. There'll be cameras wherever the general managers and the coaches are, Myles. But the stay-at-home draft was a one-year thing. Now, the other side of it, that doesn't tell us anything about what the draft is going to look like this year. I doubt that there's going to be thousands of people in Cleveland, the designated site for this year's draft, like we saw in Philadelphia, Nashville, in other places where there were just a lot of people in a huge crowd. But it will be different than last year. Hopefully this is the last year that it's not the normal draft experience that we've grown accustomed to.
Yeah, I think it should at least be more efficient from the standpoint of everybody being in the same room. And I'm sure that teams are going to be much happier about that because I don't know that any snafus really happened last year, but there's a huge risk when you're relying on the internet instead of just being in the same room with people to communicate and say, hey, if this guy goes, this is the guy we want. You know, if these two are gone, then you know what? Let's trade back. Let's figure out who our trade partners can be. It just all is so much easier if you're in the same room. And, you know, having sat in draft rooms before, Mike, I can tell you a lot of times there isn't that much food in there, at least the draft rooms that I have sat in. It's usually in the cafeteria you go and then you get it. And then when you're back in the draft room, it is more of a workplace environment. You have to be able to sit there and work. So I don't know. Maybe that'll work out fine.
Well, we'll see how that goes. But we will miss, for example, not seeing Bill Belichick's dog commandeer the laptop area in his dining room. Cliff Kingsbury with the awesome setup, unless they set up the draft room there, which I think that room would be a great place for the draft room. Why not do it there? There's Jerry on his $250 million yacht, $90 million more than what he'll pay Dak Prescott over the next 4 years. Bill Belichick with his dog in his, I don't know what that is, kind of dining room or something. Andy Reid down in the basement. So we had all kinds of fun stuff last year from the 2020 draft. It looks like it will be a one-time only thing, which is very good for the NFL and for the rest of us because it means that the pandemic coming to an end.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.